"You don't belong here, sweetheart." The words hung in the air like smoke, thick with arrogance. Sarah Mitchell didn't flinch. Dressed in jeans and a plain gray tee, she looked like someone's sister tagging along. Instructor Jake Reynolds smirked, blocking her path. "This isn't yoga class. It's real training, for real soldiers." The male recruits laughed. Sarah's hand slid into her back pocket, a single card. "Black Phoenix Program, Level 7, Access." The room fell silent. Reynolds' smirk faded. She leaned in just enough to whisper, "I didn't come here to impress boys. I came to clean up your mess." Sarah's hands remain perfectly still on the counter. No tremor, no tension. Her voice comes out quiet, but steady. "I paid my fees. I have every right to be here." Reynolds lets out a bark of laughter that echoes through the reception area. Without warning, he reaches for her paperwork and tears it in half, then in quarters, letting the pieces flutter to the floor like dead leaves. "Save yourself the embarrassment, princess. Go home before you hurt yourself." The other trainees laugh louder now, one of them calling out, "Yeah, maybe try a knitting circle instead." Sarah's expression doesn't change, but something flickers in her eyes, just for a moment. Camera would capture details that most would miss. Her hands, though feminine and well-kept, bear the subtle geography of old scars. The way she positions her feet, shoulder-width apart, weight perfectly balanced. The controlled breathing, 4 counts in, 4 counts out. These are things that only someone who has lived in danger would notice. Sarah bends down slowly, gathering the torn pieces of paper without a word of protest. Her movements are economical, efficient, no wasted energy. Inside her mind, a different battle rages. "Breathe, count to 10. You chose this quiet life. Don't let anger destroy what you've built." The words repeat like a mantra, holding back something darker, something that wants to surface. She straightens up, pieces of paper in hand, and turns to leave. As she does, the electronic access system beside the door flickers, glitching for just 1 second. On the screen, barely visible before it vanishes, clearance level, classified, call sign, widow mark. Nobody notices except Emma Chen, the young range safety officer standing in the corner, whose eyes widen imperceptibly. What would you do if everyone underestimated you based on your appearance? Have you ever felt invisible in a room full of people who should know better? The question hangs in the air as Sarah walks out, her footsteps silent on the concrete floor. Sarah Mitchell lives in a small one-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of town. From the outside, it looks like any other unit in the complex. Beige walls, standard-issue windows, a small balcony with a single plastic chair. Inside, however, the space tells a different story to those who know how to read it. Everything is arranged with military precision. The bed made with hospital corners so tight you could bounce a quarter off it. The kitchen organized with items grouped by function, labels facing forward. No clutter, no excess, no personality, except for one thing. On the dresser, face down, lies a single photograph. The neighbors know her as the quiet woman in Unit 312 who keeps to herself. She feeds the stray cats that gather near the dumpster, leaving out bowls of food and fresh water every evening at exactly 6:30. Mrs. Rodriguez from next door once tried to invite her to a building potluck, but Sarah politely declined with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. No social media presence exists for Sarah Mitchell. It's as if she materialized in this apartment 6 years ago, fully formed but without a past. The gun shop where she works part-time sits in a strip mall between a dry cleaner and a tax preparation office. The owner, an elderly veteran named Frank, hired her without asking too many questions after seeing how she handled the weapons. She works Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday afternoons, always arriving 15 minutes early, always leaving exactly on time. Customers appreciate her knowledge but find her distant, professional but never personal. She can field strip and reassemble any weapon in the shop blindfolded, though she's never demonstrated this ability for anyone. This particular training facility holds ghosts for Sarah. 6 years ago, she stood in the same building but in a different room, the briefing room on the 3rd floor where Colonel Harrison laid out the parameters for Operation Ghost Ridge. This was home base for the Widowmakers, the elite counter-terrorism unit she had led with distinction. She returns here every year on October 15th, the anniversary. The memorial wall inside contains their names. Staff Sergeant Thomas Chen, Sergeant First Class Marcus Rivera, Captain Isabella Martinez, and 12 others. 15 names. 15 ghosts. "I come here to remember," she whispers to herself in the parking lot, "to feel close to them one more time." Her military timeline reads like a fiction novel, though every word is verified truth. 2010 to 2012, Army Rangers, deployed to Afghanistan. 2012 to 2015, Special Operations Command, promoted to Lieutenant Colonel. 2015 to 2018, Commanding Officer of the Widowmakers. Then 2018, Operation Ghost Ridge, the file remains sealed. 2019 to present. Voluntary discharge, current whereabouts unknown, except she's been here all along, hiding in plain sight. The apartment reveals more upon closer inspection. Beneath her t-shirt, hidden from casual observation, her body tells its own story. A bullet wound on her left shoulder, perfectly round. A souvenir from Kandahar. A knife scar along her right forearm. Shrapnel marks peppered across her back like constellations. The workout routine posted on her refrigerator shows 4 a.m. runs, 7 days a week. The movements she practices in her living room flow too smoothly for civilian training. A ballet of violence learned through repetition and necessity. Alone in her apartment after the incident at the range, Sarah stands before the overturned photograph. She flips it over slowly, revealing 15 faces in desert camouflage, arms around each other, smiling at the camera. Her younger self stands in the center, the weight of command invisible in her confident posture. Tears fall silently down her cheeks. I should have died with them, she whispers to the empty room. Why am I the one who gets to walk away? Without warning, she drives her fist into the wall, knuckles splitting on impact, blood smearing the white paint. They believed in something. I don't even believe in myself anymore. The internal struggle tears at her daily. They died believing in the mission. I survived believing in nothing. The thought echoes through her mind during mundane routines. Every day I pretend to be normal. Every night I remember why I can't be. The reason for her anonymous life is simple. She refused the Medal of Honor, rejected promotion to general. Some victories are too costly to celebrate, she had told the brass. She lives quietly now to honor those who can't live at all. Emma Chen, the 28-year-old range safety officer, has been watching Sarah since the moment she walked in. Former military herself, Army, 4 years, medical discharge after an IED in Iraq, Emma recognizes the signs others miss. The hypervigilance, the way Sarah checks exits, the perfect trigger discipline even when handling unloaded weapons. She represents something rare in this place. Someone who judges by skill rather than appearance, who sees beyond the surface. The escalation begins immediately. Day 1, Reynolds assigns Sarah the lane with the broken target retrieval system, ammunition that's been sitting in storage since 2015, and a rental pistol with a trigger pull like dragging a piano through mud. Sarah says nothing, simply takes what she's given and makes it work. Her groups at 25 yards could be covered with a quarter despite the equipment handicaps. Reynolds watches from behind the safety glass, his jaw tightening with each perfect shot. Day 2 brings new humiliations. Reynolds accidentally schedules her time slot during advanced tactical training for law enforcement. "Oh, didn't realize you were signed up for today," he says with false surprise. "Well, since you're here, might as well watch the real shooters work." The officers running close-quarters battle drills barely glance at the civilian woman sitting on the bench. Sarah observes their movements, noting tactical errors she keeps to herself. Day 3 escalates to public mockery. Reynolds gathers his regular group around Sarah's lane. "Everyone, come watch our housewife try to play soldier," he announces loud enough for the entire range to hear. "Maybe after this, princess, you should try yoga instead. Much safer for someone like you." The laughter feels like sandpaper on her skin. One trainee suggests she'd be better suited for a cooking class. Another makes a crude joke about what women are actually good at shooting. Sarah's hands load magazines with mechanical precision, her face a mask of calm. The internal monologue intensifies with each insult. He reminds me of Sergeant Martinez, cocky, thought he was untouchable too. The memory flashes, Martinez's final moments. Sarah shakes her head, returning to the present. I could end this in 30 seconds, but then what? Back to the shadows? The weight of restraint feels heavier than any pack she's ever carried. Tommy died for people like this. Maybe that's why it hurts so much. The near bucking point comes in the women's bathroom. Sarah collapses against the wall, hyperventilating, her control shattering. She's back in that canyon, the ambush closing in. "Widowmark, we're pinned down, multiple casualties." The radio crackles in her memory. She had to make the choice, complete the mission or save her team. Command screaming for her to push forward, her team bleeding out around her. The extraction helicopter taking fire, pilots shouting they had 30 seconds before they had to leave, 28 seconds to decide who lives, who dies, whose body gets left behind. She chose her team, carried 2 wounded soldiers herself, but still lost 15. The mission failed. The target escaped. 15 American soldiers dead for nothing. You made the right call, they told her later, but did she? The question haunts her more than any ghost. I can't do this anymore. She gasps between sobs. I can't pretend I'm okay when I'm not. The mirror reflects a stranger, a woman playing dress-up in civilian clothes. Then the image shifts and she sees herself as she was. Full combat gear, someone else's blood across her vest. I'm not a hero, she whispers. Heroes bring their people home. Outside the bathroom, Rangemaster David Torres has been watching Sarah since day one. The way she moves, shoots, handles weapons, it all screams special operations. He pulls security footage, begins quiet inquiries, but every search hits walls. Sarah Mitchell exists only in the present tense. His military contacts warn him, stop digging, that's above your pay grade, David. Way above. The system's protection of Reynolds becomes apparent through whispered conversations. He's the facility owner's nephew, untouchable despite multiple complaints. Torres's investigation gets shut down when the owner himself intervenes. This is why I left, Sarah thinks, watching Reynolds berate a young female officer. The system protects the wrong people. Always has. But if I don't act, who will? Who speaks for the next person he destroys? The questions have no easy answers, just like questions about her survival. After hours, Emma finds Sarah practicing alone in the tactical bay. Sarah moves through shooting positions with practiced fluidity. Emma watches before speaking. I know what you are, she whispers, stepping into the bay. Sarah freezes, weapon pointed safely downrange. The question is, Emma continues, do you remember? The emergency comes without warning on day 7. An active shooter drill spirals into chaos when live rounds crack through the air. A trainee screams, blood blooming across his shoulder. Panic erupts, people running, diving for cover, freezing in place. Reynolds stands slack-jawed, unable to process the shift from simulation to reality. His mouth opens and closes wordlessly. Sarah's transformation happens instantly. The civilian evaporates, replaced by Lieutenant Colonel Mitchell. Her voice cuts through chaos with battlefield authority. Everyone down, stay low, and move to hard cover. Bodies drop instantly. Chan, get pressure on that wound now! Use your belt as a tourniquet above the injury! Emma moves without hesitation. Not again, Sarah thinks. I won't lose another person on my watch. Tommy, Marcus, Isabella, I'm sorry. I can't hide anymore. Sarah moves to the emergency panel with purpose. She places her palm on the biometric scanner. The system responds immediately, displaying Command Oval Accepted, Sarah Mitchell, call sign, widow mark, security clearance, level 9. Silver star, bronze star with valor, purple heart. Below the text, grainy footage plays, Sarah leading a hostage rescue mission. Her team moving with lethal precision under her command. The phone rings with the distinctive double tone of a priority military line. Torres answers with shaking hands, his face paling. Yes, sir. Yes, she's here. Understood. Immediately, sir. He hangs up and turns to the room. That was the Secretary of Defense. He wants to know if Colonel Mitchell is injured and when she can take his call. The silence is deafening. Emma, still working on the wounded trainee, adds another shock. The Pentagon has been monitoring her location for years. She's turned down promotion to general 3 times. They call her the Ghost of Kandahar. The name ripples through the room like electricity. Everyone who served knows that name. They just never imagined she was real, much less standing in their facility. The attitude shift happens instantly. Whispers fill the air. That's really her, the woman who held Firebase Echo alone for 6 hours. One trainee stands at attention, muscle memory taking over. Torres renders a perfect salute. Ma'am, we had no idea. I'm sorry for... Sarah cuts him off with a gesture. Her focus on the wounded. Reynolds' reaction transcends simple shock. The color drains from his face completely, his eyes wide with terror beyond professional embarrassment. He realizes he's been tormenting a legitimate war hero whose service record contains more reality than his entire fantasy life. Oh God, he breathes, what have I done? His legs give out and he drops to his knees, hyperventilating, his worldview collapsing. Sarah finally looks at Reynolds, her expression unreadable. When she speaks, her voice carries the weight of command. Now you know who you've been disrespecting. Not just me, every person you've judged by appearance, every woman you've dismissed, every veteran who didn't look the part. You never know who's standing in front of you. Remember that. The facility director arrives within an hour after the Secretary of Defense personally called him. He approaches Sarah nervously. Colonel Mitchell, I cannot begin to apologize enough. We would be honored if you would consider taking a position here as our head instructor. Full benefits, name your salary, complete autonomy over the training program. Sarah considers for a long moment. 3 conditions. 1. Complete overhaul of the training culture. This toxic masculinity ends now. 2. Emma Chen becomes assistant head instructor effective immediately. 3. Everyone currently on staff goes through sensitivity and bias training, no exceptions. The director agrees immediately. Sarah doesn't destroy Reynolds, though she could. Instead, she extends her hand to where he kneels. Everyone deserves a second chance, even you. You'll start in equipment maintenance, work your way back up based on merit and behavior. Prove that you can change. It's firm but fair, leadership that builds rather than destroys. Reynolds' transformation begins immediately. He can't sleep, haunted by genuine shame. He researches Sarah's service record, learns about missions where she risked everything. The research leads him to therapy. I've been everything I claimed to hate, he tells his therapist. Weak, cowardly, hiding behind false strength. Sarah's first official class draws everyone. She stands at the front in simple, tactical pants and a black polo. Forget everything Hollywood taught you about combat. This technique I'm about to show you saved my life in Fallujah, but using it cost my teammate his. Sergeant Chen saw the second attacker I missed, took the knife meant for me. Every technique has a cost. Every decision has consequences. I'm here to teach you to survive, but more importantly, to think before you act. The facility's culture transforms under Sarah's leadership. Performance evaluations based solely on skill, zero-tolerance harassment policy that actually gets enforced. Emma brings her perspective as a female veteran who faced discrimination. Together, they establish a mentorship program focusing on overlooked trainees. Emma's own story emerges during a late conversation. Purple Heart recipient, IED outside Mosul, couldn't hold a weapon steady for 2 years. PTSD so bad I couldn't leave my apartment. This place, teaching others, it saved me. And now, watching you transform it into something better. Healing comes in many forms. Torres becomes the facility's first inclusion officer, implementing anonymous reporting systems and partnerships with veterans organizations. You've given us a second chance to get this right, he tells Sarah. We won't waste it. Media attention comes inevitably. Someone posts footage online and reporters call non-stop. Sarah releases a single statement. My story is not for sale. My service was not for glory. I teach now to honor those who can't. That is enough. She tells a persistent reporter, my story isn't for entertainment, it's for education. Focus on other veterans. The facility implements a strict no media policy. The package arrives on a Tuesday, no return address. Inside is her original unit patch, the Widowmaker insignia. The note reads, thank you for keeping the faith. We never forgot. Ghost 7. Sarah recognizes Martinez's call sign, one of 2 other survivors. She pins the patch inside her locker, where only she sees it. The memorial wall gets fresh flowers weekly, placed by Sarah before dawn. 15 names, 15 flowers, 15 reasons to continue. I thought hiding was honoring them, Sarah reflects on the range at sunset. But teaching, this is the real honor. Every student who goes home safer, every officer who makes better decisions, every person who learns to defend themselves without becoming a bully. This is why I survived. This is my mission now. A new trainee enters on Thursday, a young woman nervous and uncertain. An old guard instructor starts the familiar routine. Little girl, you sure you're in the right place? Sarah watches, letting it develop. The woman's voice shakes, but she stands firm. I have every right to be here. The instructor steps closer, using size to intimidate. Rights don't mean much when Sarah appears beside the trainee without seeming to move. She doesn't speak, doesn't threaten, simply stands there. The man steps back, involuntarily. Is there a problem here? Sarah asks, mildly. No, ma'am. Just welcoming our new student. Sarah nods. Good. Make sure she gets our best equipment. I'll be personally overseeing her initial evaluation. The message is clear without being stated. Reynolds, 3 months into his redemption, assists with orientations. His transformation surprises everyone. I was everything wrong with this place. Colonel Mitchell could have ended my career. Instead, she gave me a chance to learn, to grow, to become better. Those names on the wall, they died believing in something bigger. The least I can do is try to live up to that. The ripple effects extend beyond the facility. Other training centers request consultation. Law enforcement agencies ask her to speak about de-escalation. She accepts select invitations, always refusing payment. We train like we fight, she tells police commanders. If we train with bias, we'll act with bias when it matters most. The final scene unfolds on a quiet Saturday. Sarah observes diverse trainees learning together without judgment. Emma works with a grandmother learning self-defense. Torres instructs female officers. Reynolds patiently teaches a teenager. The transformation is complete but ongoing, a living testament to leadership through service. The voiceover would be simple. True honor doesn't need announcement. Real strength doesn't require display. Service continues long after the uniform comes off. Sarah's silhouette against the setting sun could be anyone. That's the point. Heroes walk among us unrecognized, still serving quietly. The text reads, call sign, widow mark, still active. Have you ever been pushed so far that you forgot who you were trying to protect? Tell us about the moment you almost broke. Sarah's story isn't just about military service or discrimination. It's about choosing between hiding and healing, safety and service, letting trauma define you or using it to lift others. Which moment hit you hardest, the humiliation or the revelation? Let us know where you're watching from. Sarah's story contains universal truths. We all face moments where we must choose between silence and standing up, protecting ourselves and protecting others. Sarah chose service over safety, teaching over hiding, honor over ease. The facility thrives under Sarah's leadership, a beacon of inclusive excellence. Emma develops specialized programs for female veterans. Torres writes new training standards. Reynolds speaks about transformation and accountability. And Sarah Mitchell continues to teach, to serve, to honor the fallen by lifting the living. Some heroes wear capes. Others wear simple polo shirts and carry the weight of fallen comrades in every lesson. Both change the world, one person at a time.
Mình là Harry, người tạo nội dung ở Simple Woman. Bạn biết không, câu chuyện này được lấy cảm hứng từ những người xung quanh như là chị, mẹ, bà, bạn bè. Subscribe để theo dõi series và comment cho mình biết người phụ nữ nào truyền cảm hứng cho bạn nhé.